We have a financial sector development plan or program, and we have recently just released our national strategy for financial inclusion. In fact, this is the second strategy. The first one ended in 2020, and the second one was issued in 2021 to 2026. This is a big program that addresses both the demand and the supply side of financial inclusion or access to finance. So in terms of products, in terms of services that are available, in terms of technology, a wide range of activities that we're focusing on. Interesting to know that maybe 5 years ago, we were about 20% included, and most recently, we've gone up to about 29% inclusion. We wish we have done more than that, but we're trying and moving in the right direction. Financial inclusion is very important for the central bank because we have a very large informal sector in Sierra Leone, and there's various implications for this huge informal sector. First, people do peer-to-peer financial arrangements. Merchants most times keep money on their premises and they're not fully banked, or even if they're banked, they don't use the banking services as much as they need to. We've got banks, we've got rural financial institutions like community banks and financial services associations. But again, we need to get more people into the formal sector, and we need to create an environment that will support that. One of the things we're doing is the national switch, which would increase interoperability both between banks but also between mobile money operators. So we believe with the launch of the national switch, both the formal and informal sector would benefit, and it will be, as I've always said, a linchpin to increase financial inclusion. It's a very comprehensive program. In fact, our national switch program is specifically designed to increase financial inclusion. It's going to be involving very small, low-value payments. For large-value payments, we'll continue to use RTGS, but for low-value payments, we'll use the switch and other clearing, but it will be targeting these small payments, which is what the vast majority of the population would be involved in. Absolutely. We have a financial literacy campaign that is ongoing. There's a public education mechanism that we use. Our staff and colleagues work with the banks and other financial institutions. We do a lot of outreach to the community to discuss and explain the strategy. And the strategy itself is widely promulgated so that everybody knows what the objectives are of that strategy. I know it's risky to make these projections, but I believe in 5 years' time, we should have gone close to 50%. That is the target. It's a target that we've set ourselves privately, but, it would be great, really great, if in 5 years' time we've hit 50%. That would be transformational for us. Imperative that we have to increase financial inclusion. I'll talk about West Africa because Africa is so big. You can't generalize, but, to improve financial inclusion, there's a lot of trade between countries, especially in the Mana River Union, Sierra Leone, Guinea, Liberia, and the Ivory Coast. And people move around with huge stacks of cash, which is completely unnecessary. If you have interoperability between countries, mobile money working, that would increase financial inclusion. So we need to work together across borders. Let the industry talk to one another. Let the businesses, the mobile company, and the regulators talk. And let's find a way of enabling our population so that they can trade more effectively. And once we do that, we'll increase inclusion across the board. M-Pesa is the classic example now. And everybody in West Africa would refer to the great strides that have been done over the past 10, 15 years in East Africa. And I think it's a good benchmark. And you're correct. In the National Switch Program, we're not just thinking about interoperability between banks and mobile companies, but also we want to introduce other services like QR codes, for example, the informal sector. So if we can get informal traders, petty traders, business people registering with banks or other financial institutions and have a QR code in system where their pricing would be integrated, there will be limited use for cash. I have a particular interest in that as a central banker because I'm spending too much money in printing currency and I don't need to if an electronic form of money is working effectively. So absolutely, what is going on in East Africa is a good example. From a national standpoint, the government also will benefit. Government revenue would increase because merchants, taxi drivers, kekes, all of them are accepting mobile money, electronic money, and the taxman, can make, collection much more efficient, and that would help government revenue. We're working on that. The banks, the telecoms regulator, and us are discussing, and we're trying to make the process of acquiring these USSIDs, are also very efficient. So banks don't have to wait for such a long time before they can onboard, a particular code or have a particular service available. I must say the telecoms regulator in Sierra Leone has been quite cooperative, and banks are beginning to have access to this USSID. But that's where we want to go, because not everybody can afford the most sophisticated sort of smartphone around. But basic telephones with basic USSID code, that could be used for banking. In fact, I use that now in my mobile money transaction. My takeaway is there's huge potential in mainstreaming. I use that word guidedly, but in bringing DPGs into the mainstream. I've talked to quite a few people here. We've talked about digital IDs, the MOSI program, but I've also talked to others about payments and open source technology behind payments, which makes interoperability more accessible, much more cost effective. So I believe, despite the fact that we've got existing systems, there is a great deal to think about, and there is potential actually to onboard some of these things down the line once we are clear about the risks. Because remember, with everything that is open source or free, you need to be able to convince yourself and your institution or your stakeholders that the risks are manageable. It's very important. I'm an economist, nothing is free. Well, cyber risk is real, but security starts with every individual. If I am disciplined and conscious that I must respect basic security protocols, I have to. I was trying to book a flight for work, for a work-related activity, but I don't have my UK phone with me, and my credit card are linked to my phone, and I have two-step authentication, so I can't use my credit card without my phone. So I have to wait until I get back to the hotel to use my phone. So what it means is that for cybersecurity to succeed, for us to be successful in managing our security, everybody must take responsibility. Every one of us, because security starts with us. If you have a password, keep it safe and secure. Follow recommended protocols for ensuring that your security is assured. It can never be assured 100%, but the more you adhere to basic protocols recommended by your bank or others, your institution, the better chance you stand in protecting yourself and your institution. If I've learned anything about cybersecurity, I believe it starts with personal discipline for you to be able to operate in cyberspace, with the best security that can be afforded.